New beginnings. Did you know some tree roots can break concrete? Well, these trees were once just a seed on the surface of some dirt. A tree takes an average of 20 to 30 years to mature. In seed form, a tree doesn't really get respected like that. It gets stepped on, overlooked, ignored. But a beautiful mature tree, though, gets respected and loved for the shade it provides, the fruit it bears, and the CO2 it turns into oxygen. But this, in my eyes, is an unfair way to treat the seed. In the same way a tree is beautiful for what it does and provides today, a seed should be seen as just as, if not more beautiful, for its potential to become a tree with an interesting and complex branch structure, and the sweetest fruits when it's fully matured. Today, I planted some promising seeds, and I'm patiently waiting for the growing process.
Fuck Reino, si non sabini foi fucking Reino. Mica ori e ruba, dek mi yolo si seiko. Ma kama ta plunder tu lolo, dan bij boneiro. Indoctrina yo itera usando buki. 6 kilo horta foi guarda, bro. Na doen tek salafo, na ting nang mes entrada, bro. Nota traco si tabo mesa drenta cana, bro. Meti nada in comum con jong, soledad in multitud. Een soldaat met een speet verdad, met een klap op een tabelvloer. Met een noos toer, trove con abo, ziet te voer. Ik kom met de mas vroes, kon schroef den kroes, Jesus. Na die planken te papi, mi nigga simpel is goed.
We is in the fucking building, bro. I ain't gonna lie, I just got here. Bro, this is Principio Sling, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say, bro. That's Sling right here, bro. We in the Hague, we're right next to the first and second fucking chamber or whatever. Look at this shit though. Ooh, everything rituals in this bit, bro. Everything rituals in this bit. I feel so broke right now, bro. I was so excited about the rituals, because this is dope, bro. Here, I got a mirror right here. Kind of questionable placement. This is the bathroom. This one's kind of small, it's weird, but it's cool though.
Chapter 1, The Potential of Unlabeled Seeds. When I started making videos, I never thought I'd end up being flown out for making one of them. I've always wanted to become a YouTuber, according to a younger version of me. When I actually started making videos and sharing them, I used to repeatedly say I was going to be famous because of the videos I was making and was going to make in the future. But I'm not there anymore. I still want to make YouTube videos, but the labels, goals, and names have drastically changed. They're a lot more meaningful and a lot bigger in my opinion. I want to become a YouTuber has changed to I want to be a movie director. And I want to become famous has turned into I want to make people feel something and think about life in more possibilities and more different ways than we'd usually do on autopilot. But in all honesty, these labels are not that important to me anymore. I think being too quick to look for labels or feeling the need to belong to a category in the beginning stages of your growth as a creator or creative can even be disruptive to your potential growing process. A lot of the time we can forget as humans that we too are part of nature, just as much as a tree or an animal is part of said nature. But since we as humans are so intelligent, we think about almost everything we do. Now, do you think a tree in its starting phases thinks about whether it's an apple tree or a coconut tree? Or does it just take its water when it rains, enjoy the sun when available, and grow little by little every day? I think as creatives, and young adults in general, it can be very beneficial to try looking at ourselves as unlabeled tree seeds, instead of constantly trying to diagnose what type of tree we are exactly. Just focus on growing, watering your own plant enough, exposing yourself to the sun, and let the time do its thing. Chapter 2, The Seeds of Curaçao. The reason I was flown out to Holland is because I won an art competition that was part of a research project about culture on the ABCSSS islands. Aruba, Bonaire, Curaçao, Sint Maarten, Statia, and Saba. My winning art submission was a filmed spoken word piece where I translated the cocktail of cultures that form our culture that we have here on Curaçao into an alcoholic beverage. The art piece is called Boy Palu, which literally translated means under the tree, which is a community gathering place for the people in Curaçao. In the hot Caribbean sun, a tree provides a natural roof, protecting us from the UVs of the sun while gathering with family, friends, or even strangers sometimes. Mentioning this concept of gathering under a tree back home while presenting Boy Palu in a government building in Holland, I realized and felt like that some faces looked a bit confused hearing of this concept while looking around the room, which reminded me of the contrast of life in Holland and Curaçao. When I think of life in the Netherlands, I remember a hyper-productive lifestyle with an infrastructure that complements and almost forces such a lifestyle, with consideration for being a person with emotions, energy levels, and hobbies is mostly just neglected, which is utopia for capitalism, I guess. And this lifestyle was something I definitely felt and recognized while I was on my trip there. Trying to have this hyperproductive lifestyle in Curacao will prove very difficult rather quickly when you realize the infrastructure for such a lifestyle is barely there. It's not at all like life in the city in Holland, and the closest you'll find to such a lifestyle would almost require you to be in the top percentage financially on the island. So it takes a lot of adapting to change if you'd want to live the same type of lifestyle you might be used to on an island. I feel like living on an island like Curacao forces you to come up with creative solutions to your day-to-day problems in life, from clothes to instruments, the equipment you work with, and just finding your way in general. What others might see as limiting is what I think a lot of our creatives are born out of. When you're in a place where importing things takes a hot minute, costs a lot, no same-day delivery or any of the other accommodations that are normal in city life, it breeds an amazing, powerful, and original group of people. Even though it's easy to see these challenges in a negative light, I think being from a place like Curacao and still chasing your dreams, building your own road where you see yourself going, and letting the struggles fuel and inspire creativity is the way to go. And it's also what I see when I look at my creative peers and older generations. In the same way the world and locals were surprised to see Curacao be the smallest nation to make it to the World Cup, I wouldn't be surprised if the next blue wave of people hearing of this small island off the coast of Venezuela will be our talented artists showing the world how much creative excellence we have in store. As we help each other water these seeds that will eventually grow into a beautiful forest made of artists from Curacao. Chapter 3. Watered versus unwatered seeds.
Romanang, sugumi masubi tax bracket, va? Si man bazami dat den scalo sin shirt para voor. Me to come tosti kukep na the valley.
No matter how much potential a seed might have, there's basic rules for a seed to be able to grow and actually meet said potential. Without the proper amount of nourishment, care, and soil that complements the seed, we may never get to meet the full potential trees that our younger generation has to offer. I feel like in the same sentence that I acknowledge how much of these promising seeds we have in the Caribbean, specifically on an island like Curacao, it happens too often that these seeds end up being forced to grow in suboptimal conditions due to the options for soil and lack of watering of said seeds. Over here, to this day, I see people taking decisions based on what's realistic. In the sense that someone might love to pursue a career in a creative sector and is very good at making original concepts, but because of how expensive the machines are they need to actualize their ideas, and on top of that, the influence of fear in their parents and sometimes even their own brains, that these type of dreams are not suitable for their survival in a capitalistic society, these doubts and worries can easily get passed down from generation to generation. These cycles take a lot of courage to break for a teenager or young adult deciding what they'll choose to pursue in their studies and day-to-day decisions to shape their future. They might choose a more profitable study or path of life, just to realize later in life that they would have loved to take the risk to pursue something that actually excites them or felt more like what they wanted. Choosing the more conventional and or profitable sectors is just seen as the logical, safer options, especially seeing the options we have here on the island in the first place. But I honestly don't think this is necessarily true. No matter how strong the willpower of a seed is, without the proper soil, it cannot grow. But just because the infrastructure for certain creative sectors seem limited or even non-existent, I don't think this should automatically lead to the conclusion that said unconventional route is not the right choice for someone. If you don't understand how big the world outside of your immediate environment is, and you live on a literal island, even if you've been outside of it, it's hard to believe in your vision and dreams if it feels like you're the only one watering your plant in a soil that seems to dry up faster than you are able to provide water to it. In the creative scene on the island, to me it feels like this most of the time. And in a day and age where it's easy to compare yourself to people on social media who might even be younger than you and seem to be able to do what you dream of doing, it can be very discouraging. An opportunity like the one I got to take a plane to a different country with the sole purpose of seeing how much more soil there is available in reality, where your seed might be able to grow with a lot less pushback, can be life-changing for some of these young creatives on the island, and can be the exact push you need to keep trying to do what you feel your growing process is asking for, even though it seems like it's not the most profitable choice at the moment. And I honestly think that the overflow of resources that is available in a place like Holland, for example, isn't necessarily utopia either, because being able to choose between so many already properly laid roads also makes you take this opportunity for granted. Plants can drown in an overflow of water too. Too many nutrients at the wrong timing or at the same time don't necessarily get absorbed by a plant in the first place, which can lead to empty and foundationless creations, or even not being able to choose which road is for you because of the overflow of possibilities. So I think it's something to be motivated by to not have all these options in Curacao, and use this to sharpen your image of yourself so that when you do have the opportunity or season of your life where these options are available, you're more in tune with yourself to know which ones are and are not for you. But that being said, I personally do think we need more infrastructure that can help young creatives with impactful projects stuck in a brainstorming phase, young adults with business ideas that could have lasting positive impact on the island, to give us the ability to experiment, fail, learn more freely and with less financial limiting factors to really be able to show the world what positive potential we have for a brighter future. The video is basically over, so this is not really part of the thing, but it also is. A couple more things that I wanted to say before I officially ended. If you are interested in the culture research project that Lemonade did, funded by the Ministry of Education, Culture, and Science of the Netherlands, you can check that out in the description. And I really appreciate the opportunity to have been able to fly to Holland and represent my island and be a part of this research project. If you are creative from the island, I would want to give like advice. I don't want to call it advice, but let's just call it advice. From my perspective, the best thing you can do is just work on your craft and don't really focus too much on external validation. Don't focus too much on the infrastructure for whatever you want, maybe not necessarily being there, and just focus on what you can do to keep growing and developing yourself. The seasons of nature are very predictable, but in art, there's also seasons like this and they're not as predictable. But if you're not working to be ready for the seasons where your tree provides fruits or where you would grow more and the sun is more there and there's more water, then you're not going to be able to catch those profits or reap those benefits. So just work on your shit, man. Be proud of what you do. Enjoy your creating. Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you were able to take something for this video. Have a great day, man. Peace.
Op je doel met dat draad dingen toon te kier. Mico hostel die 6 die 6 dat trogen. Kan de rond con je nervio, in de bijs van hoorde wie prijs dat subi. Maar op je net je koe, in je 6 dat koe. Maar wat die respect wat Juni.